Through the acrid swamps of Kamania, the Death Wolf stalked. His quarry, the Eater of Souls. He caught the beast up by its snapping claw and cast it into the fires of his starship. The Demon Smith, whose hammer had fashioned the beast, sent his metal monsters to seek revenge, to no avail. The great company's teeth sunk deep and tore out the planet's rotting metal heart. Harald Deathwolf serves as a Wolf Lord of the Space Wolves chapter during the era Indomitus. Appointed as the huntsman of the Great Wolf, Logan Grimnar, Harald's standing as the chosen slayer of the chapter diminishes the resentment felt by his peers purely as a result of his immense skill. Solitary, silent and brooding in nature, Harald answers only to the Great Wolf himself and is seldom seen interacting with any outside his own great company, the Deathwolves. Once known as Harald Bloodborn of Fenris's Tidehounds, as a young man, Harald bested countless challengers to his tribe's honor. Recognized by the Sky Warriors as a potentially once-in-a-lifetime aspirant, the Vilka Fenrika witnessed Harald's swift ascension through their ranks. His brethren nicknaming him Thunderson, as a result of his lupine demeanor bearing similarity to a Thunderwolf. During his tenure as a Grey Hunter of Leif Snowfang's great company, Harald began his training as a member of the Thunderwolf Cavalry. Taming such a mighty steed with only a single night of effort, Harald returned to his kinsman not as the dominator of a broken beast, but rather a trusted companion. The greatest cavalryman recorded in living memory, Harald Thunderson fought with distinction in his master's great company until Leif Snowfang fell in battle. Sundered during the Battle of Rygar against the Orc warboss, Rockbad Necksnapper, Harald rallied his disorganized comrades to purge the Greenskins. Elected as the new Wolf Lord of the Great Company atop the mountains of corpses wrought by his command, Harald looked unto the Din Son of Rygar and proclaimed himself the Death Wolf. Adopting the Ravening Jaw iconography as his personal heraldry, this omen of the Wolf Time belies Harald's belief that the end of days draws near, as foretold by the Wolf of Morkai devouring the sun and plunging the lands of the living into endless night. His symbiosis with the Death Wolf of legend, emphasizing his nature to protect the dead and venture into the domains of those who felled them to exact revenge. His battle standard, replete with honors at its base, such as his victory against the Thousand Suns during the Battle of the Pride of Sol. Armed with a storm shield and the frost axe known as Glacius, this ice-blue crystalline axe has cleaved through thousands of souls as the blood parted from their flesh soaks his cloak known as the Mantle of the Ice Troll King. Charging into battle atop his gigantic Fenrisian wolf, Icetooth, its name derived from a shard of the axe of Harald's nemesis, Svein Wolfbad, set into its cybernetic jaw, following the fateful battle between the two, which ended by a bolt of lightning. Retaining his rank as a Wolf Lord for over a century of service, Harald has accrued untold glories in service to his chapter, championing self-reliance as optimal within his great company's ranks. Understanding each and every Astartes' strengths under his command, no talent is wasted nor underdeveloped. The bond shared between Harald's men, galvanized through hunts and acts of martial skill. Deployed far and wide across the stars to hunt specific foes of humanity, Grimnar's elected huntsman utilizes cunning to relentlessly hound his enemies. Whether Wolf Scout, Bloodclaw, or Longfang in standing, all 250 Deathwolves under Harald's command never skulk too far from their imposing master. Outsiders and loners all, Harald's Wolfguard known as the Soul Guardians jar with the other grey-clad warriors of typical Space Wolf great companies. Clad in black and yellow ceramite, armed with sharp blades and jaws replete with rows of jagged teeth, little remains of those who incur the wrath of the Soul Guardians when torn to ribbons by teeth, both metal and bone in Providence. The first Grey Hunter pack, known as Morkai's Hunters, said to have never allowed their battle standard to fall in battle. While such warriors secure key strategic positions, the second Nightwolves Grey Hunter pack hunt down stragglers with overwhelming barrages of bolter, plasma, and meltergun fire. The Death Howls, handpicked by Harald himself, such squads of Bloodclaws bring their enemies low through acts of utmost devotion to their liege, so as not to bring shame to his crest, which they now bear. The Rune Claws, deploying into the thickest of fighting, their Stormclaw assault carriers rip into the heart of the enemy with speed, in order to cripple enemy lines effectively. Lokyar's Stalkers, the largest contingent of Wolf Scouts of all the great companies of the rout, Such wayfarers identify key strategic information for their Wolf Lord independently and offer up their findings to the avatar of the Deathwolf, baiting enemies into ambushes when they choose to show their lightly armored formations. These reclusive scouts have diverted into two packs, one specializing in infiltration to sow mayhem within enemy lines, whilst the second surround enemy positions before unleashing precision bombardments of plasma and bolter fire. The Ice Fangs adopt long-range battle tactics, armed with the most devastating heavy weapons arsenal available to the chapter. Their Long Fang's destruction of select high-value targets such as armored vehicles proving crucial to every campaign. Yet most favored of all of Harald's men are the Fenrisian Wolf Packs, their imitation of his own battlefield doctrines, further honored with the privilege to fight by the side of every formation of their creed. The Skjalds of the Aet praising Harald's deeds often within their feasting halls. Tales such as the Battle of the Screaming Hive, slaying of the Ice Trolls, and death of the Eater of Souls are legendary, sung for decades, if not centuries, of revelry. Facing the Thousand Sun Sorcerer, Mordant Hex during the closing era of the 41st millennium, Harald's grudge, begun at the cathedrals of Akhebat, after many escapes from prior campaigns, had secured a space station in orbit of the planet Isajur. Escaping a trap laid by Mordant within the space station, as debris rained down on Isajur, with its destruction, Harald chased Hex through a warp portal as countless demons of Tzeentch poured through. As his stalwart lieutenant, Canis Wolfborn stemmed the thralls under the command of a Lord of Change, Harald and his cavalry charged, the escape of the cowardly son of Magnus stoking the rage of the Deathwolf. Turning his attentions to the greater demon of Tzeentch, who swiftly fell to his frost axe, Harald ordered his rune priest Halfrid to draw upon his powers to hurl the deactivated Thousand Suns attack craft into the warp gate. The explosion wrought from its impact, closing the tear in real space. Harald, though denied of his hunt, would return to Fenris and prove his mettle against a new assault by the traitors. The Siege of Fenris of 999.M41, incurring massive casualties as the Crimson King sought to claim its domains for himself. Harald staved off the pawns of the Changer of Ways during the Battle of Frostheim and Morkai's Keep, ending the life of the Alpha Legion sorcerer Vikas Scale before rallying his cavalry to charge the Thousand Suns lines, a trail of not only space wolves, but primal forces such as Wulfen, Ice Wolves, Mastodons and Rhinoids heed his call. The largest wolf pack ever assembled in Fenris' history, Harald's Deathwolves, aided by Egil Ironwolf's great company, reinforced the Fang as Magnus made his final gambit to secure victory. Repelling the Crimson King's invasion, the Space Wolves won their struggle with the ancient foe of their creed, their Deathwolf standing ready to continue his duty to root out the enemies of the rout, to prevent such similar calamitous events from unfolding.